Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing good. And now let's continue with our lesson. Okay, so we learned of the innate immunity. So this is still part of the innate immunity. So this is the last topic under the innate immunity. So far, we discussed the external immunity, external defense mechanisms under the innate immunity. We also discussed the internal defenses, which include the cells of the body, the different phagocytic cells specifically, and also those different factors or substances which are also part of the defense mechanism under the internal immunity. And I am referring to the acute phase proteins. So the cells and these acute phase proteins work together to promote the process we call phagocytosis. So which is actually very important in the mechanism of the innate immunity. Now we go to another process, which is still part, as I mentioned, of the innate immunity. And that is the process we call inflammation. Now, what is inflammation? Now, it is defined as the overall reaction of the body to injury or invasion by an infectious agents. So a general reaction. Now, inflammation involves all those different processes we mentioned earlier. So the external or the normal body functions, the different cells of the body, specifically the phagocytic cells, as well as other substances, particularly the acute phase proteins, and all these different substances work together in the process we call inflammation. So it is the overall reaction of the body. So it is a highly complex, no, complex, highly orchestrated process which involves both the cellular and the humoral mechanisms. So ari na dito na na-combine na siya. Okay? Now, what are the four cardinal signs of inflammation? Now, actually, we have five cardinal signs of inflammation, but originally we only have four, and the other one was added by another scientist later on. Now, what are these four cardinal signs of inflammation? Of course, we have redness, swelling, heat, and pain. Okay, so now each of these different signs of inflammation has actually uh, a Latin term, not designated to each no, of the different signs. Like for example, redness, redness is rubor, swelling is tumor, heat is calor, and of course, pain is dolor. So we have four signs, and these signs no were described by Celsus in the 1st century AD. Okay, so si Celsus pa ni ang nag-describe sang signs of inflammation naton. Okay, and then later on, during the 19th century, another sign was added by Rudolf Virchow. So, and what is this? It's the loss of function. So, why is it? Naging-add ni siya ni Virchow? Because if these different signs of the inflammatory process continue for a long period of time, just like what happens no, in chronic inflammation, the end result of this is the loss of function of a particular tissue or organ of the body. And we call it functiolasa. Okay, so again, we have now the five cardinal signs of inflammation. So we have the rubor for redness, tumor for swelling, calor for heat, dolor for pain, and functiolasa, which means loss of function. Now, what are the major events of or what are the major events that occur during the inflammatory process? Okay, so we have four major events no, associated in the inflammatory process. So what are these? The first of this is in an inflammatory reaction, okay, the first that usually occurs is that there is an increase in the blood supply to the infected area. So why there is an increase in the blood supply of the infected area? So because we all know that what's in the blood, no, di ba? Anong ara sa blood nga dapat mag-increase ang blood to that infected area? Okay, we all know that in the blood we have there our cells of the body, diba? Specifically the phagocytic cells, which are important in the process of inflammation. And of course, we have the different substances which are also involved in the orchestration of the immune responses naton. Okay, now the end result of this increase in the blood supply to the infected area is that, okay, this results to, syempre, no, redness. Okay, so nagpula because of the increase in the blood supply to the area. And what else? Of course, there is heat. Okay, kaya mo dito blood nga nagkadto na to the site of the area. So again, increased blood supply to the infected area results to the two signs of inflammation, and these are redness and heat. Okay, so after this, we have increased capillary permeability caused by retraction of the endothelial cells lining in the blood vessels. So because of release of certain substances, so capillary walls, normally these endothelial cells naton lining the capillary walls naton, or the capillary walls of the blood vessels, are tightly packed together. So very tight na sa that substances inside the blood vessel, okay, cannot come out to the outside or to the tissue. So usually ara lang na sila sa blood vessel, di ba? But because of this action of these different substances, okay, and one of these actually are our cytokines, no, which enable these capillary walls of our blood vessels to okay, become permeable. Okay, they become permeable, such as substances from the blood or substances from the intravascular fluid compartment, okay, go out to the tissue. Okay, kay para makadto sila sa diin sa site of infection. So otherwise, kung hindi sila kagwa, wala sang pulos, di ba? So ara lang sila sa sulod. So dapat makagwa sila. So blood cells or the different cells of the body as well as other substances must go out to the tissue to initiate the immune response. Okay. And because of this number 2 naton, okay, increase in capillary permeability, this results to the other two signs of the inflammatory process. And of course, we have swelling and pain. Okay, so nag-swell na because of the accumulation of fluid to the site of injury. So pag nag-swell, of course, there is pain. Okay, next, the third step is the migration of the white blood cells, specifically neutrophils from the capillaries to the surrounding tissue. So now neutrophils, through the action, of course, of the different chemotactic factors naton for neutrophils. So these neutrophils travel or migrate from the blood vessel to the tissue, okay, through what we call the process diapedesis. Okay, so ang purpose is to phagocytose, okay, whatever foreign agents present at the site of injury. Okay, fourth, we have migration of macrophages to the injured area. So ang pinakalas na makadto dito are the macrophages. Although we do have macrophages present at the site of injury, so nag-start na ni sila nga daan nga phagocytized, no, foreign agents. Pero other macrophages coming from the different areas of the body nag-travel man, no, to the injured area. Anong purpose sa aton nga macrophages? That is to phagocytize or phagocytose foreign materials, aside from the foreign materials. And of course, we have other debris, no? So debris from the inflammatory process, because we all know that if these different debris, okay, no, so, or products or waste products of the inflammatory process cannot be removed, the inflammatory process just continue, no? So continue lang siya to occur, okay, such that the normal healing process cannot occur. So dapat tambal to naton ma-clean ang area of the debris such that normal healing can progress. Okay? So these are the major events of the inflammatory process. So here again, so I've shown you this before. No, this particular illustration, of course, there was a breaking the skin, and then, of course, we have introduction of the bacteria, no, or foreign agents inside the skin. And of course, we have chemical signals which are released. We call these signals chemotactic factors. And these chemotactic factors attract, of course, our neutrophils to the site of the inflammatory process. So and then, of course, we have migration of neutrophils from the blood vessel to the site of the inflammatory process. We call it no, diapedesis. And then our neutrophils, of course, once in the area, start to phagocytize no, these foreign agents. And of course, we also have macrophages in here. Okay, and okay, once all these are cleared, okay, normal healing starts to occur. So again, we have here the 4 cardinal signs of inflammation. So we have redness, we have heat, and of course we have swelling. Okay, we have pain, and these 4 signs continue for a period of time. The end result of this is the loss of function of that particular tissue or organ of the body. Okay, so now let's discuss the 2 important cells which are found, no, which are present during an inflammatory process. So, amo gini sila mga importante nga mga cells. Okay, so first, of course, we have our neutrophils. Now, neutrophils are considered as the major type of cells present in acute inflammation. Now, usually these cells are mobilized within 30 to 60 minutes after injury. Migration lasts for 24 to 48 hours depending on the level of the chemotactic factors. Okay, di ba? Kay, ang chemotactic factors are those that attract neutrophils to the site of injury. Okay. Next, of course, we have the macrophages. So our macrophages, these cells migrate now from the surrounding tissue and from blood several hours after, and then peaks at 16 to 48 hours no, after injury. Now, these cells try to attempt to clean the area through phagocytosis. So, di ba, hambal natin, they are our janitorial services. So, they clean, they mop up the area, okay, from of actually the debris, no? The debris brought about by the immune responses naton. So in order for the area nga ano nga mag-clean ang area so that normal healing can occur. Okay? Now once the area is cleared, complete healing process. Okay, so the end result of this is actually a complete healing process, and then the tissue now return to normal. Okay. So as I said, if the inflammatory process is prolonged, or we call it also chronic inflammation, this can result to tissue damage and eventually loss of function of the tissue. Okay, so let me show you a particular video. So a video of how the inflammatory process takes place. Okay, so that is just one example or a video showing how inflammatory process occurs. Okay, so there is another one. Okay, so that's the process of inflammation. Okay, so that ends innate immunity. So hopefully, guys, you were able to appreciate the innate immune responses of the body. Now we go to the next type of immunity, which is acquired immunity. Okay, so we learned that acquired immunity is actually characterized by one very important factor, and that is prior exposure to the antigen. So acquired immunity will not occur without prior exposure of our body to to a particular type of foreign agent or an antigen. Now, under acquired immunity, so acquired immunity is also known as adaptive immunity or our specific immunity. And we have two categories of acquired, adaptive, or specific immunity. And what are these? So we have the cellular mediated immunity. Of course, we have the humoral mediated immunity. Now, we are going to differentiate each of this. No, so we are going to um, learn clearly, no? So the difference between cellular and humoral immunity. So later on. Okay, now aside from these two categories of acquired, adaptive, or specific immunity, now this particular type of immunity is further categorized as either active or passive immunity, and each of this is acquired under is acquired, no? Either as a natural phenomenon or as an artificial means, no, of acquiring the disease. So we will learn later on, no, the difference between acquired passive and active immunity, and of course whether this type of immunity is acquired naturally or artificially. Okay, so first we go to cellular and humoral immunity. Okay, so what's the difference between cellular and humoral immunity? So when we say cellular mediated immunity or cell mediated immunity, this is the particular type of immunity that results from the production of sensitized lymphocytes. Okay, what do we mean by sensitized lymphocytes? Now, sensitized in such a way that these lymphocytes are able to come in contact with the antigens. So that is why, because they come in contact with the antigens, they are sensitized, they are activated. Okay? So nasensitize na sila. So it is very important that when we say cell-mediated immunity, we usually refer to the effector cells, and these are our sensitized lymphocytes. Okay. And these sensitized lymphocytes natin are the ones, no, that are responsible for certain processes like rejection of tissue transplants, delayed hypersensitivity reaction, just like what occurred actually in the response to TB, no, or our tubercular bacilli, destruction of cancer cells, and even destruction of parasites. So these are cells, no, that are responsible for reactions to these different um, mechanisms naton. Okay, now this cell-mediated immunity, as I said, this type of immunity is affected by the T lymphocytes. Okay, nga ang tawag siya natong T, so we will learn later on, no? So we are going to discuss lymphocytes under adaptive immunity. So nga ginatawag siya nga T cells, no? Or nga ginatawag siya nga B cells. So T cells or our T lymphocytes. And of course, under the cellular mediated immunity, our effector cells here are the T cells again. And of course, we have their mediators. So ano ni sang ginatawag naton nga mediators? The cytokines produced by our T cells or our T lymphocytes. So again, effector cells of the cell-mediated immunity are the lymphocytes, and their mediators we call the cytokines. Next, of course, we have the humoral-mediated immunity. So when we say humoral-mediated immunity, this refers to the synthesis or production and then release of free antibody into the blood and other body fluids. So in other words, ang diri naman niya, no, sa humoral immunity, we will focus our attention on the different antibodies or specific antibodies produced against our antigens. And here, the effector cells are our B lymphocytes. Okay, so the B cells or our B lymphocytes. We all know that the B cells or the B lymphocytes are the ones that secrete or synthesize, no, specific antibodies against our antigens. And these antibodies are able to directly combine with the antigens and then cause their neutralization. Okay? And we all know that these antibodies also are opsonins. Diba? Hambal naton, antibodies are opsonins. They are capable of causing microorganisms para sa anong purpose? That is to enhance phagocytosis. Okay? So again, what's the difference between cellular and humoral immunity? So when we say cell-mediated immunity, we are referring to the production of sensitized lymphocytes. Okay, and these sensitized lymphocytes produce substances like our cytokines, which are responsible for the mediation of what we call cell-mediated immunity. When we say humoral-mediated immunity, we are referring to the production of specific antibodies by our B lymphocytes or our B cells. And these antibodies combine with the specific antigens and then causing neutralization of these antigens. And they are also responsible for enhanced phagocytosis. Okay, so that's the difference between cellular and humoral-mediated immunity. Now we go to active versus passive immunity. So what do we mean by active and passive immunity? Now, when we say active immunity or the active immunity under acquired, adaptive, or specific immunity, we mean that the immunity is acquired through exposure to the antigen. Okay, so exposure to antigen. Okay, we call it active immunity. And this exposure to an antigen can either occur naturally or artificially. Okay, when we say natural active immunity, it means that okay, na-expose kita naturally to the infectious agent, just like what occurs during an infection or a series of infections. So na-infect ikaw, so that is a natural way of acquiring the causative agent or the antigen or the microorganism. When we say naman artificial active immunity, so hindi siya natural exposure, but there is an intentional, okay, intentional na exposure to the antigen. Okay, so just like what occurs in vaccination or immunization. So injekan ikaw antigen for the purpose of immunization or vaccination. Okay, para sa protection against the specific agent or microbial agent. So gin-inject sa imo ya, okay, intentionally. Hindi siya yan natural cause of okay, acquiring the pathologic agent. Okay, so that's active immunity. Now, when we say passive immunity, ano naman yung gina-acquire natin? Now, this is a method or a manner of acquiring immunity through antibodies. Meaning to say, na-expose ka naman with an antibody, no? With an antibody. Okay, so antibody naman niya this time, or we also call this anti-serum, no? Or anti-sera, kung plural. Okay, so exposure to antibody or anti-serum can occur either naturally or artificially. So when we say natural exposure, so it just, okay, the exposure just happens naturally, just like, for example, transfer of antibodies from the maternal circulation to the fetus in utero. Okay, so natural transfer of antibody halin sa mama pakadto sa fetus nga ara sa uterus. Okay? So because we all know nga ang nourish no sa aton nga fetus, okay, ang maternal circulation. So in the maternal circulation, of course, you have several antibodies in there. Okay, and also a natural immunity or transfer of antibody through the first nga lactation fluid naton. Okay, ang first nga milk no that comes out from our mother no during lactation naton. So we call it colostrum, di ba? Ang first gid nga milk. Okay, so that first nga milk also contains antibody. Okay, and of course, you can also acquire antibodies no naturally through blood transfusion. Okay, because we all know that sa blood, di ba, ara dirang aton nga antibody, specifically the liquid portion of the blood, no, the plasma. Okay, now these antibodies can also be acquired artificially through, okay, syempre, infusion of serum or plasma. So, gina-infuse na siya, no? Just like, or injection, for example, no? Okay, making use of, okay, antitoxin. Okay, just like in tetanus toxoid, di ba? Ang injection naton or immunization, usually for tetanus, kung mapilas ikaw, so ang ginagamit nga first injection is or the tetanus toxoid. So it is an antibody, an anti-serum. So hindi na siya antigen. But as I mentioned, we are also now using antigen, no, in tetanus. So mayara na siya nga antigen kid. Okay, but we still have, of course, our or the tetanus toxoid, making use of anti-serum. Ang purpose is to neutralize, no, if may presence man gid of Clostridium tetani, no, at the site of injury. So may ara na nga daan, so at least man-neutralize na siya as early as possible. Okay? So infusion of serum or plasma. Okay, and I know, no, I mentioned also that, di ba, amo na ni siya subong ang trend naton. So we are making use of antibodies or anti-sera, okay, to cause certain diseases, just like also what we are doing now in Crohn's disease. So di ba may mga antibodies na, no, or mga certain trademarks na or brands of antibodies which are actually used in treatment of certain diseases like, of course, Crohn's disease, just like infliximab, no? So gina-infuse ni ang anti-serum or plasma. Okay? And then, of course, ginagamit mo siya naton in the treatment of cancer. So we are going to discuss that later. Okay? So that's passive, natural, and passive, artificial. So again, the difference between active and passive is on the type of the agent or ano ang gina-introduce naton into the system. So when you say active, it's exposure to the antigen, passive exposure to antibody or anti-serum. So that can occur under naturally or artificially. So that's passive and active immunity. Okay, so here there is another illustration of the types of adaptive immunity. So we have active, which refers to the reaction of your own cells, okay, to a particular type of pathogen. And of course, passive, okay, simply borrow immune agents from another person, okay, just like antibodies. Okay, na borrow siya, no? Because of what? Like for example, in COVID-19, di ba? So in severe cases of COVID, usually, no, nagagamit kita. So nagagamit sang anti-serum, okay, coming from those patients who recovered from the disease, no, to help those who are severely infected with COVID, no. So ang purpose is to neutralize the antigen, no, through exposure to antibodies or specific antibodies man mismo. Okay, so that's the difference between cellular and humoral immunity and passive and active immunity. Okay, now let's go to the lymphoid system. Okay, so the lymphoid system, when we say lymphoid system, this is a system composed of the different organs and tissues of the body responsible for the production of our lymphocytes. Okay, so what are our lymphocytes? So banaton, we are going to discuss lymphocytes under the adaptive immunity. Now, these cells are not part of the innate immunity because they are not phagocytic cells, di ba? So they are our key cells in the adaptive immunity. Now, they represent 20 to 40% of the total circulating WBC. So if we are going to do differential counting, we can see at least mga 20 or 40 no lymphocytes. Okay, that's normal. Now, anong tsura sa aton nga lymphocytes? Now, typically, they are 8 to 12 micrometers in diameter. Nucleus is large, okay, either round or indented. Nuclear chromatin is dense and stains deeply, and the cytoplasm is sparse. So, gamay lang yung cytoplasm sa aton nga lymphocytes. Okay, the cytoplasm contains few organelles with no specific granules, and sometimes this cytoplasm is just a narrow ring surrounding the nucleus. So that's our lymphocytes. Okay, so here, no? So we have our lymphocytes. Of course, you have the dark nucleus, so large, indented. And of course, you have the scanty cytoplasm. Okay, so this is another one. So here, another lymphocytes. So this one, no. So you have here a large nucleus, darkly staining, and of course you have the scanty cytoplasm. So it's just a ring surrounding the large nucleus. Now, lymphocytes are unique. No, they are unique. No, they arise from a hematopoietic stem cell, and these stem cell further differentiate into primary lymphoid organs. And these are no primary lymphoid organs actually naton are the basis for the two classes or main classes of our lymphocytes. So diri ni naghalin ang aton nga T cells and our B cells. Okay, so what are these primary lymphoid organs? Now we have, of course, the bone marrow. So, ang bone marrow, those lymphocytes naton, no, those hematopoietic stem cell that develop, differentiate, develop, and mature into our lymphocytes or mature T cells, ginatawag na sila naton as our B cells. Meaning to say, they mature in the bone marrow. Those lymphocytes naman that mature in the thymus are called our T cells or our T lymphocytes. So meaning say when we say T cells, these are lymphocytes that mature in the thymus. Okay, so from the primary lymphoid organs, mature lymphocytes travel to the secondary lymphoid organs. And what are our secondary lymphoid organs? They are our spleen, the lymph nodes, the appendix, the tonsils, and of course, we have other mucosal associated lymphoid tissue or our mouth. Okay, so we are going to discuss each of this, na? Okay, so here is an illustration, di ba hambal naton? Okay, pluripotent stem cells or our hematopoietic stem cells, okay, are actually formed, no? Or produced in the bone marrow. Okay, so those, the lymphoid stem cells, okay, those lymphoid stem cells, some of this actually travel to the thymus. Okay, kadto sila sa thymus, and these hematopoietic stem cells naton mature and become our T lymphocytes. Okay, those that remain in the bone marrow mature naman and become our B cells. So our T cells, okay, are responsible for the cell-mediated immunity, and our B cells are responsible for the humoral-mediated immunity. Okay? So these two cells together, now they travel, so as they mature, no? Sang nagmature na sila, okay, they are released in the circulation and seed peripheral organs, no, or lymphoid organs. Ano ang purpose? That is to come in contact with antigen. Okay, so meaning to say contact with antigen occurs in the secondary lymphoid organs. Okay. So again, these are our, okay, lymphoid organs. No? So we have both the primary and the secondary lymphoid organs. So there are sila located. Okay, so lymphocytes in the secondary lymphoid organs, as I mentioned earlier. So in these organs, our lymphocytes come in contact with foreign antigens. Okay, now let's take a look at briefly these different secondary lymphoid organs. So of course, we have the spleen. The spleen is a filter, no? So it is a filtering mechanism for antigens in the bloodstream. So siya ni ang naga-filter sa mga antigens naton present in the bloodstream. Whereas lymph nodes naman are the ones that filter fluid coming from the tissue. Okay, so gina-check yan naman niya ang fluid no coming from the tissue for the presence of antigens. And of course, we have mucosal surfaces in the respiratory and the alimentary tract. So these are additional means of contracting antigens as they enter the body, because we have several ports of entry or portals of entry in here, no? In the respiratory tract and the alimentary tract. So now in the secondary lymphoid organs, our lymphocytes are segregated. Okay, di ba? So we have T cells and we have B cells. So those that mature in the thymus, as I said, they are our T lymphocytes and they have regulatory roles in the secondary lymphoid organs. Whereas our B cells, those that mature in the bone marrow, are the ones that secrete antibody. So these two types of cells recirculate continuously from the bloodstream to the secondary lymphoid organs and back in an attempt to increase contact with foreign antigens. So gabalik-balik lang sila, no, from one lymphoid organs to another lymphoid organs. They travel through, of course, the bloodstream. O anong purpose? That is to come in contact with antigens. Okay, so now let's discuss each of those different primary and secondary lymphoid organs. So di inada naton na yun na makitaan, no, in of course each of these organs naton ang ginatawag naton nga lymphoid tissue. Okay. So first, of course, we have under the primary lymphoid tissues or organs, we only have two. We have the bone marrow and of course we have the thymus. Now, the bone marrow is considered as the largest tissue of the body. It fills the core of all long bones. So we have a total weight of 1,300 to 1,500 grams in adult. So this is the main source of hematopoietic stem cells naton that eventually results to the production of our erythrocytes, granulocytes, monocytes, platelets, and of course our lymphocytes. Now, bone marrow is, okay, you need to take note of this. The bone marrow is the center for antigen-independent lymphopoiesis. Okay, what do we mean by antigen-independent? So, meaning to say, ang bone marrow nagasigi-sigi lang produce lymphocytes, okay, without regard to antigen. So whether may antigen man na siya or wala, the bone marrow just keeps on producing our lymphocytes. So lymphopoiesis means production of lymphocytes. Okay, so here, no, this is our bone marrow. Okay, di ba namit ni, no? So here you have our hematopoietic, no, stem cells. Now you have the different hematopoietic stem cells inside, no, the long bones naton. Okay, so this is an illustration again. Okay, so in the bone marrow, you have our lymphocyte stem cells. So those that travel or migrate to the thymus, they differentiate, develop, mature into our T cells or our T lymphocytes. Those that remain in the bone marrow become our B lymphocytes or our B cells. Now the thymus and the bone marrow together produce 10 to the 9th mature lymphocytes per day. Okay. So combined effects nila. Okay, or efforts, no, ni thymus and the bone marrow. Okay, next primary lymphoid organ is the thymus. Okay, so in the thymus, this is where our T cells develop their identifying characteristics. So it is a small flat bilobed organ located sa diin, sa thorax or the chest cavity right below the thyroid gland and overlying the heart. So it is 30 grams at birth, 35 grams at puberty, and then gradually atrophies. So in other words, nagagamay na siya, no, after puberty. But you don't have to worry, the thymus is still, mas ginagamay na siya, okay, when we age. So it doesn't matter because the thymus still keeps on producing lymphocytes, yapon. Okay, so each lobe, so we have two lobes actually of the thymus. We have the outer portion, which is the cortex, and of course we have the inner portion, which is the medulla. No, okay. So each lobe of this thymus naton is divided into lobules filled, of course, with epithelial cells, and these epithelial cells play important role in the differentiation and maturation, no, of our T cells. Okay, so from the cortex, okay, outer portion to the medulla, ang aton nga T cells naga-travel siya, naga-differentiate and mature, no? So it takes kuno 2 to 3 weeks for lymphocytes to travel, no, from the cortex to the medulla. And they acquire, no, characteristics, identifying characteristics, or we call these surface antigens. So ga-acquire sila surface antigens unique to them. And this will identify the different developmental stages of our T cells. So we will discuss more of this later. Now, mature T lymphocytes are then released from the medulla through, of course, the blood vessels present in there to the secondary lymphoid organs. So our progenitor T cells for our T cells, or our T lymphocytes occur or appear in the fetus 8 weeks of gestation. So we can see na progenitor cells 8 weeks of gestation for our T cells. And these T cells or progenitor cells differentiate very early in fetal development. And the fetus or the baby, by the time the baby is born, immunocompetent na siya when it comes to our lymphocytes. Okay? So this is our thymus. So it is located sa diin sa thoracic cavity, below the thyroid gland, overlying the heart. And this is our thymic lobule. So this is a cross-section of the thymus. Okay, so here we have the outer portion, which is the cortex, and of course, ang yellow, the medulla, and you have in there the red ones. Ang red nga ini are the blood vessels. So it takes 2 to 3 weeks to travel for the lymphocytes to travel from the cortex to the medulla, until such time that they are matured now, and then they are released through these blood vessels to the secondary lymphoid organs. Okay, so now we go to the secondary lymphoid organs naton. So nagmature na ang aton T cells and B cells. Okay, they go now to the secondary lymphoid organs. So each lymphocyte spends most of its lifespan in solid tissue, entering the circulation only periodically to go from one secondary organ to another. Now, naive or resting lymphocytes. So when we say naive or resting lymphocytes, now these are lymphocytes that do not come in contact with antigen. So mga inosente, ni sila wala sila na-expose to antigen, and these lymphocytes die within few days unless they become activated by the presence of foreign antigens. Now, the lymphoid or the secondary lymphoid organs are the sites of antigen-dependent lymphopoiesis. So in other words, the secondary lymphoid organs only produce lymphocytes, when there is presence of antigen. So when these lymphocytes come in contact with antigen, lymphopoiesis occur. Or lymphopoiesis occurs. So lymphopoiesis gives rise to long-lived memory cells and short-lived effector cells. Now, let's take a look at each of these different secondary lymphoid organs. So first, we have the spleen. Now, the spleen is the largest secondary lymphoid organ. It is 12 centimeters in length and weighs 150 grams in adult. Now, it is located in the upper left quadrant of the abdomen, just below the diaphragm, and is surrounded by a thin connective tissue capsule. So as I said, this is a discriminating. So this is a filter. So it is a large discriminating filter. It is the one that filters out old and damaged cells, naton, specifically our red cells, and of course, foreign antigens from the blood. So this is where our spleen is located in the left quadrant of our abdomen, below our diaphragm. Now, the spleen is divided into two splenic tissues, two main types of splenic tissue. So we have the red pulp and we have the white pulp. So the red pulp, this is the one that makes up more than half of the total volume of our spleen. So this is where destruction of old red cells or red blood cells occur. Diri niya, gina-destroy ang mga red cells naton. Whereas in the white pulp, diri naman niya makitaan ang aton nga lymphoid tissue or that particular tissue kung diin ang aton mga lymphocytes ara and diri man naga-occur ang lymphopoiesis naton. Now, this lymphoid tissue arranged around arterioles, that is why it is called our PALS or our periarteriolar lymphoid sheath. Okay, so this pulse contains small lymphocytes, large lymphocytes, macrophages, plasma cells, and granulocytes. So we can see plasma cells in here. So remember that plasma cells come from our B cells. They are the ones that secrete antibodies. Now, in the white pulp, the T cells are found close to the central arterioles. The B cells naman, okay, adiin sila ya. Now, they are organized into clusters. And we call these clusters follicles. So, nakasulod sila sa follicles. So, we have two types of follicles. We have the primary and the secondary follicles. So, when we say primary follicles, amo ni siya nga mga follicles nga naga-contain sa aton mga B cells which are considered naive or resting B cells. These are B cells that are not yet stimulated by antigen. Whereas in the secondary follicles, amo naman ni sila ya ang naga-contain sang B cells which come in contact with antigens. That is why there is an ongoing lymphopoiesis in here, no? Okay. So the primary follicles or our white pulp, okay, is only 20% no, of the total weight of the spleen. So most actually red pulp siya. Okay, so here, no? So this is an illustration of our spleen. So you have here the red pulp. Okay, gamay lang ang white pulp naton. Oh, ang naka-white. So in here, we have our PALS or our okay, the pulse naton, no? So the periarteriolar lymphoid sheath, this is where our lymphocytes are located. Okay. So this is a cross-section of the spleen. So you have the red one, the red color, the colored red, no, is the red pulp. And of course, you have the white pulp. Okay, so in here, in the white pulp, of course, you have the T cells, naka-arrange siya, no? Around are the pulse naton. And of course, the B cells naman niya are found in the primary and secondary follicles naton. So the primary follicle, ari diri ang aton mga naive B cells, whereas in the secondary follicle, the dark colored green, okay, and of course the dark colored no nga green is the secondary follicle. This is where our B cells that come in contact with antigens are found. And you can see inside at the center, ang yellow-green nga color is what we call the germinal center. So in the germinal center, this is where lymphopoiesis occurs. No? So you can see blast in here. Okay, mga young cells of our B cells, diba? Because once these cells come in contact with antigen, they differentiate, they become blast cells, okay, and then eventually they divide and give, rise to clones of our B cells, okay? So, in other words, nagapadamo, no? There is lymphopoiesis. Next, of course, we have our lymph nodes. So our lymph nodes are located along lymphatic ducts because they filter the fluid coming from the tissues. So they are the central collecting points for lymph fluids from the adjacent tissue, and they are found numerous near joints and where the arms and the legs join the body. Now, lymph nodes, ang size may range from 1 millimeter to 25 millimeters in diameter, and the main function is filtration. And we also have two portions of our lymph nodes. The outer portion is called the cortex, and the inner portion, of course, is the medulla. So here we have our lymph nodes. So tanan nga green, you can find lymph nodes, no? So near lymphatic ducts or lymphatic vessels, and of course you can find them where the arms and the legs join the body. Now this is a cross section of our lymph nodes. Okay, so from the outer portion, the colored yellow is our cortex, and of course the colored, okay, orange is the medulla, and then, or the paracortex, sorry, and then you have the gray colored, you have the medulla. Okay, so you can find in the cortex, you can find here ang mga colored green nga ini, the light colored ones are actually your primary follicles, whereas the dark green with the um, yellow green, no, na circular area at the center is our, okay, secondary follicle. So that circular yellow green colored, no, circles are actually the germinal center. So this is where lymphopoiesis occurs, no, because in the secondary follicles diri naga-reside or diri makitaan ang aton yung mga B cells or nga naka-contact with antigen. Okay, so in the subcapsular sinus, so this is underneath the outer capsule. Now this is lined with macrophages or macrophages naton. So this is usually where phagocytosis and antigen presentation, no, take place. And of course, in the cortex, no, as I mentioned earlier, you have in there primary follicles, okay, composed of mature and resting B cells that, okay, not exposed to antigens. And also you can find small number of B cells and follicular dendritic cells. Now these follicular dendritic cells exhibit a large number of receptors for antibody and complement, and they regulate the activities of memory B cells. That is why no ara dira sila where our B cells are. In the secondary follicles naman, of course, you have the antigen-stimulated proliferating B cells. And you can see germinal center. Okay, so in that germinal center, you have blast transformation, no, of our B cells. And this transformation results to, okay, formation of plasma cells. These are the cells that secrete our antibody. And of course, we have the memory B cells, no? So our B memory cells. The paracortex, on the other hand, okay, this is the region between follicles and the medulla. So you can find T lymphocytes, okay, in close proximity to antigen-presenting cells we call interdigitating cells. So if you can still remember, interdigitating cells are actually our dendritic cells. No, we call them the interdigitating dendritic cells because they are in areas where our T cells are. Okay? So the medulla naman, on the other hand, is less populated, no, less densely populated. However, you can also find T cells as well as B cells, no, and of course macrophages and a small number of plasma cells. Okay, so particulate antigens are removed, okay, as the fluid travels across the node from the cortex to the medulla in the lymph nodes. So travel time is approximately 18 hours. So in other words, from the cortex to the medulla. So it takes mga 18 hours. So if contact with antigen takes place, lymphocyte traffic is shut down for about 24 hours in an attempt to immobilize the antigen. And that is, okay, where we can find na our lymph nodes nga nag-enlarge. Okay, nag-enlarge na siya, meaning to say, our T cells in there, our cells, no, the lymphocytes come in contact with antigen. So there is now an ongoing lymphopoiesis, nagapadamo na ang atong mga lymphocytes, no, for the purpose of the immune response. And you can find germinal centers na in the secondary follicles, meaning to say there is an ongoing lymphopoiesis. Okay, so we call this one, so when our lymph nodes become enlarged and you can find germinal centers in the secondary follicles, this is what we call lymphadenopathy. Okay, so kung sa aton nga local term, we call it our pangadlay, di ba no? So nagsakit, may pangadlay ka, so meaning to say may infection. O gali because ang aton dira nga lymph nodes, no, sa lymph nodes natin in that area, nag-inflame na. Meaning to say, ang lymphocytes nakakome in contact with antigen. Okay? So it is known as lymphadenopathy. Okay, for mucosal associated lymphoid tissue. So we can find this mucosal associated lymphoid tissue in the gastrointestinal tract, the respiratory, and the urogenital tracts. So in here, we have macrophages and lymphocytes, no, in these areas. So for the gastrointestinal tract, we have, of course, our Peyer's patches. So we call it also as the gastrointestinal associated lymphoid tissue. So this is located at the lower ileum of the intestinal tract. So this is our, okay, Peyer patches, no? So these are our Peyer's patches. So these are lymphoid tissue, no, of the gastrointestinal tract. So you can see lymphocytes in here. Amo diri gina-produce ang aton nga lymphocytes. So this is a cross-section of your Peyer's patch, no? Peyer's patches. So a section of this. Okay, so kung kuwaon tani siya and lantawon naton here, no? So on the lower right, you can find, okay, a secondary follicle. Okay, so here you have a secondary follicle with germinal center, meaning to say there is an ongoing lymphopoiesis. So this is our lymphoid tissue in the gastrointestinal tract, the Peyer's patches. We also have in the respiratory tract, in the oral cavity, we have our tonsils. So the tonsils are our lymphoid organs or tissues, no? So they are small masses of macrophages and lymphoid tissue found in the mucous membrane lining the oral and the pharyngeal cavities. So the function is to respond to pathogen entering the respiratory and the alimentary tract. Okay, so here we have our normal tissue and you can find below, okay, infected, no? So means say nakakome in contact with antigen and you have an ongoing inflammatory process. Also, other mucosal associated lymphoid tissue, we have the appendix. Okay, so appendix can be found at the end, no, lower end of the colon. And of course, we have our epidermis. So the epidermis, okay, or also known as our calc, or the cutaneous associated lymphoid tissue. So it contains a number of intraepidermal lymphocytes, mostly T cells, and these T cells are uniquely positioned not to combat any antigens that enter through the skin. Okay, so here this is our appendix, and you can find here the lymphoid tissue. Okay, so this is a cross section. Okay, so here you have the lymphoid tissue of the appendix. So dira makita na aton nga mga lymphocytes. Okay, so it is found, no, at the lower end of our colon. Okay, so this is a normal appendix, and here you can find an inflamed one. Okay, and usually, di ba, gina-remove ni siya naton, no? Kung inflamed na gid siya. Okay, but this is a normal tissue, guys. A normal, no, nga lymphoid tissue. It is a lymphoid tissue. Okay. And of course, we have our epidermis. So here, no, you can find lymphocytes in here. Okay. Now, to summarize, okay, in the secondary lymphoid organs, so B cells differentiate into memory cells and plasma cells when they come in contact, of course, with antigens. And they are responsible for the humoral immunity. Whereas our T cells, okay, they play a role in cell-mediated immunity. They produce sensitized lymphocytes that secrete cytokines, or we also call them lymphokines. But this is lymphokines is an old term, so we now call them cytokines, no? General term na ang cytokines naman. So again, we have Okay, our lymphoid organs, no? So we have two primary, and of course the rest, we also have our secondary lymphoid organs. So our hematopoietic stem cells, no, are produced in the bone marrow, and these hematopoietic stem cells, some of these travel to the thymus, okay, where they differentiate and mature into our T cells. So T cells are the ones responsible for the cell-mediated immunity. Okay, and they go to the secondary lymphoid organs where they come in contact with antigen. Okay, those that remain, or the hematopoietic stem cells that remain in the bone marrow, okay, they mature and develop into our B cells, and B cells are the ones responsible for the humoral or antibody mediated immunity. And some of these B cells, naton, okay, hematopoietic stem cells, no, that remain in the bone marrow, they differentiate kuno and become our natural killer cells. So we are going to discuss natural killer cells later, o ano naman ni sila yan, no? So these cells are unique also. Okay, so guys, that ends our lymphoid organs. So in the lymphoid organs, these are in these organs, okay, in these organs diri ang atong mga lymphocytes naga mature and develop. So diri gina-produce ang atong mga lymphocytes, and then they mature and develop in the secondary lymphoid organs and become our B cells and T cells. Okay? So we will end here, no? Temporarily. So this is the first part, no, of our lecture under the acquired, adaptive, or specific immunity. So the second part, okay, will be discussed, no, later. So thank you so much, everyone. So you have a good day.